It's November the 23rd, 1998, and we're in Newcastle, Indiana, talking to Morris and Myrtle Keller. Okay, Grandma, start with you. You have how many kids now?
4.
You have 4 kids. Linda, Donna, is it that the order? Linda, Donna, Tommy, and Janice?
Yes.
Okay. Well, can you tell us when was Mom's birthday? When was she born?
May the 9th.
In what year?
43, wasn't it?
43.
Yeah, because we was born, no, 44. We was born in 43.
No, we was married in 43.
Yeah, we was married in 43, and she was born a year later in May. May
Just
the
leave
9th.
that on there. That'd be your mom. Just leave it on there.
I will.
They know me. Yeah, yes, she was born a year later. We was born in 1943, and she was born the year of 44, the May the 9th.
And she was born where? In
Seymour, Indiana.
Seymour, Indiana, in the hospital down there in Seymour.
So do you remember what happened that day? Do you remember?
That night, you better believe I believe what happened. Ben Lou Stitt talks about it. We'd went to the show. Morse worked at the factory. He worked at the last shift. Went in about 11:30 or 12, give or take. But anyway, me and Ben Lou and Morse and went to the show. Got in from the show. Morse went on to work, and I started in labor. And I didn't know what was happening till the very last. And I thought it was just little gas pains. Of course, they're all going to get a laugh out of this. Me and Ben Lou's there. I thought it was little gas pains, but it kept on and on till I began to show signs. Then I knew what it was. So I stayed there by myself. Ben Lou, of course, it was late. Oh, it was getting late in the morning then, wasn't it, Dad?
Yeah.
I imagine about a couple hours after that. But anyway, give or take, she got Morse at the factory. I stayed there myself. Here they come back. We didn't have no telephone. So it was a drizzling rain, and so we walked to get the cab. We had to walk, and it was a drizzling rain. And Ben Lou Stitt talks about it and laughs about how we'd have to stop every little bit. Of course, we was young, but we took a chance. So after we got the cab station, there wasn't no cab in. And all just as quick as we told them what was going on, they called the police. The police took us got us there to the hospital and fast. So that's youth for you. That's young and not knowing. But Ben Lou and Morrison, she still laughs about how we walked in the rain.
And it was you and Betty Lou and Grandpa?
Yes, Ben Lou staying with us. It was the last, just about time for Lynn to be born.
And we'd get your grandma to laughing, and the water would pour.
Well, anyway, as quick as they got me.
Now that's all right, ain't it?
That's fine with me.
Well, anyway, we'd have to stop every little bit.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize that we were just young.
We didn't know. Seriously, we didn't.
And we just, every once in a while, we'd stop in that drizzling rain. Well, they got me there. And how many blocks was it to Morris to the
From
cab
where
station?
we was at, the police station was there on Railroad Street, and from there to the hospital was about 4 blocks. But it was too long for her to walk.
Oh yeah.
And we got. And
She was young.
No,
She was in labor.
Yeah, I was.
No, at the where we was at the cab station. That was on Ewing, so we was about 6 blocks from the hospital, and they did have a cab, so they just called the police and they come in.
Oh, that's quick as we told them. So they got me there, and I had a healthy 6 pound, 7 ounce little girl.
So how long were you there? How you got to the hospital?
Next morning, yeah.
How long
Next
did
morning. Oh, next morning she was born. I don't forget just how many hours, but the next morning she was born.
When very long after we got you.
Oh, it was too. It was the next morning she was born.
You went there.
Well, it was late in the night when we walked, but we didn't know the danger, what all could happen and everything. But we'd just stop in that drizzling rain and then we'd go on.
Just laugh and.
Yeah, we did.
When Grandma water would pour, Betty Lou would laugh and I'd laugh.
Just young kids.
We just laughed and didn't really know how back then you didn't know really how the seriousness of it. You know, like you're aware of it now. And back then I just had no big deal.
But we'd been to like I said, to the show and got in. he went on to work. Betty Lou stayed with us. And then she come back and stayed with us about a week or a little over after Linda was born. Yeah. And
Linda was just a little pudgy. She was a little roly-poly. That's what she was.
but
Just
that,
a little fat thing.
but that was a kind of an unusual event. But it was happy
Yeah.
event too. We enjoyed being with Betty and Betty with us. And families was close back then.
No,
Yeah.
maybe I've forgotten. Who's Betty?
That's
She's-
my sister,
okay,
Betty Lou,
that's what
that
I
lives
thought.
in Seymour.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
she's my
been a-
sister.
Okay.
Of course, Morris, he worked the late hours, about the last hours of night to a factory.
Well, when she had the baby, of course, you weren't in the room with her.
No, they didn't allow you in
Wow,
like they did now. See, whenever Brian, whenever Donna had her baby and Linda had her baby, they
was
let
allowed
me go into the
to see
the
him.
labor room with
Well, to see him while there's in
Yeah,
labor,
while there's in
Morris, then we
labor.
had to get
And
leave.
I didn't, man, I got out of there just
Oh.
as quick as I could tear out of there. When I seen what was going on, I didn't stay around. Now, that compared with when Linda was born, they didn't allow no husbands
Oh no,
in the rooms at all.
no, they took you, then, and I think while they let you come in about once, didn't they? While I was in labor with Linda
don't remember.
it seemed like they did.
They might
Right
have.
when I first got there, but no, back then they didn't do that.
So do you remember what you were doing out there in the waiting room when the doctor came out? And
Yeah, what
No.
your Betty Lou's doing.
was you doing the normal stuff like pacing back and forth, ready to
No,
pass
I-
out
Betty Lou's
cigars?
with
Or
the country.
I doubt it, Brian. I really, it's been so long ago that I don't really remember. But like I said, we didn't realize the seriousness of it like we do now.
Well, we just enjoyed
We were just young and come what, come go.
We didn't have
That's
no
the way it was.
phone. Neighbors was in the bed. We didn't know neighbors that close either. And we just
But
walked there.
where we lived, we lived about, we probably 7 blocks from the hospital. Okay, we walked up to the cab station, which was probably a block and a half away from our house. Well, when we got there, that's when they called the police and took her on
Oh,
down
yeah,
there.
they looked at us. Well, we had fun. We laughed. We
we-
had fun.
Walked the
but,
street and
But
laughed.
the laughing was over with me for just after
Oh, I
I
would
got there a
imagine.
little while after I was there. But that's the way what happened with Linda. And it's good that you didn't know what she was going to go through with and everything.
And
She was pretty.
And after she was born, she was, I think, 6 weeks old. That's when I got a job up here at Chrysler.
Yeah, she was.
My brother-in-law come down there, and I was working at I think in the previous interview, I told you I was working at the Seymour Manufacturing, and no money. They wasn't making no money. I think in the previous interview as well, I told you that for 6 days I made $18.75. Well, when I come up here, I come up on Sunday. Monday morning I was at Chrysler. Monday afternoon I went to work. And for 4 or 5 days it was $40. Man, that was big money,
Yeah.
You thought you really had something because 6 days at $18.75, that wouldn't hardly buy a war bond, let alone anything else. And like in the previous interview, we was really up against it, and I look at it now, back when I can look at it from my eyes now, I believe God's seen our need, and He taken care of us that way because we had $3 left, and Linda was a nursing baby, but still we only had $3 to eat on. And when Jonesy come down there, he said, "I've got you a job if you want it." I said, "I'm ready." So I went up there and went to work, and then I worked there for, I worked 11, 12 years, I think it was. I got to work 12 years on one department. That was 3470, which is sweeping. And then I went to production and got laid off. And I was off 7 months and went to work for Dickerson's moving van. And I probably worked not over 2 or 3 months, I got called back to Chrysler, and they asked me would I continue to work for them. So I worked at the Chrysler on afternoons, worked for them on days for about 8 years after I went back to Chrysler. And back then, you didn't make no money, because when I worked for Dickerson's, I made $55 a week. But Brian, that was paying my bills, and I was happy. I wasn't, we didn't draw sub pay. All we got was unemployment. Well, I made an arrangement with them to pay me every 2 weeks, and 1 week I'd draw unemployment, the next week I'd draw, and I wouldn't sign for unemployment. I just worked it back and forth that way, so I'd have an income coming in all the time.
That was a good idea.
Now let's get back to Linda. When I was carrying Linda, I know Linda'd want to hear this. When I was about 8 months along with her, we lived in an apartment. Well, Morse, he helped pay the rent. It was a real cute apartment. Downstairs it was a big kitchen, a great big kitchen, and the living room, and off from our living room, we lived on the end of the apartment, and off from our living room was the bathroom. But then from the kitchen, we went up a little stairway, and oh, I liked that little apartment. Up that stairway, we had one bedroom, and up there, Morrison bought me all new furniture. It was pre-war furniture, but it was a blonde bedroom suite, and it had them low, that big mirror, that big beautiful round mirror, and low, glass and everything. Beautiful bedroom suite. Well, that evening, Edith come, and Don, she had a boyfriend. Then Edith's going, Edith and Don come, and I think Eva too. Didn't Eva come too? Eva and some of her, a couple of her relatives, and they was going to help hang curtains, because getting ready kind of clean for Linda's birth. We never had no idea what was going to happen, because we took care of the furnace there to help pay. So that evening, we was all in there just enjoying ourselves, and someone noticed smoke coming up from the registers. Never had no idea then, but when I opened up the bathroom door, the flames was already coming up from the bathroom. Of course, we couldn't have went in there because the apartment had caught on fire. Mm-hmm. Our apartment was a burning, and we wouldn't have known anything about it till someone noticed the smoke coming up from the furnace, vents. Mm-hmm. So we got out of there, and we moved in with Mom Keller for about 2 weeks. Yeah. About 2 weeks we stayed there.
So you didn't get the fire out? It destroyed the apartment?
No, it didn't bother our apartment. Okay. It just got to the but it destroyed the other apartment, didn't it?
Yeah.
It ain't fun.
The other department.
No, but I thought Linda wanted to know that, because I was big with her about a month before she was born. And so we went and lived with Mom Keller in the country then we got our apartment there with Eva's, were they. But I thought how good the Lord was there to us. Spared the furniture. Of course, we lost it all anyway. We let it go back, but it was awful pretty furniture, pre-war furniture.
Well, we didn't have to let it go back. They just
you did.
Tried to convince us that we did.
Well, you did.
And we did. That's true. That's true. That is true.
So, you mean you let it go back? You gave it back to whoever you were?
Yeah, the furniture company.
They sold it. They said they put the new bedroom suite
display window for new.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in Karen and Linda, I did have some events, but we didn't let it get us down or crumble us down, did we, Morris?
No, we didn't.
Life went on.
Now it would floor us, but then that was just life. We took it as it went.
And families was close. They loved us. And Mom Keller and Dad Keller was good to us.
So you moved here to Newcastle, and all your family was in Seymour, and you were kind of by yourself out here.
Yeah.
And you had a 6-week-old baby.
Yeah. Well, there's Gladys and Catherine lived up here.
Yeah.
We lived in with Gladys for about 2 weeks, and like we said, they wouldn't charge us no board at all, and no money at all for even food. Now back then, that's what families did. They took families in that would be in need,
Did Jim Matlock, did he already work for Chrysler?
Jim Matlock had a job, and Jonesy and Gladys done the same thing for Catherine and Jim. He got Jim Matlock the job at Chrysler. Let them stay at their house 2 weeks, then they got them apartment. Jonesy.
Sounds like Jonesy was making a lot of friends back then.
Yeah, Jonesy was good to everybody.
Yeah,
He'd take them in and get his relatives work, because it pleased him. Got us up here too with Gladys. So I had 2 sisters living up here then.
So how did that change your guys' life? Just a real quick summary. When you had Linda? Yeah, Mom.
Well, it was good.
Oh man, change it for the better.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Morse loved her a lot. He
'cause
did.
She was like I told you prior to that.
She was a baby.
Before she was, till when she got bigger, she was just like my boy, you know,
Beautiful.
tomboy or whatever. But we would set her. We had one of those old time chest of drawers with mirrors on it. We'd set her up there and look at her with her little back to the face. She was facing us, her little back, and she was just a little pudgy thing.
Well,
But she was our pride and joy.
getting back to her baby days, that's what he
Well, that's
wants.
what I'm
a little
saying.
infant.
That's her
Oh,
baby
that's-
day.
Well,
That's it.
Well, we moved in Oak Grove, and actually I'd be lonely, Brian with a little baby. One time I started walking with Linda, just a few weeks old, just to nurse a little few weeks old baby. And I started over at Gladys's. Oh, it was hot. I had to stop somewhere and ask the directions to get to Gladys's house on our avenue. Of course, we had just moved up here, see, and I wasn't used to the surroundings. So here I started out with Linda that evening. Hot, oh, it's hot, carrying her. And from the Oak Grove now to our avenue, that's a long distance to carry a little baby. Because I wasn't very big myself. I'd go down to about 90 pounds. Be good to do that, wouldn't it, Morris? It's
Yeah.
tiny. But I'd get lonely, and I'd go see Gladys, and I'd go see Catherine, and they'd come and see me. And we went down home often. We'd go down there on the bus. They got to about every 6 months, didn't we?
Yeah,
We'd catch the bus.
where the
and go
Courier
down home.
Times was the bus station,
So they got to see Linda. They got to be with Linda.
and
you know.
what she's telling you, and I like to add this, that we was always looking forward to going home on that bus. We'd be up there at the Courier Times station before that bus ever got there, so we could get on it and head for home. And I think it went by way of Indianapolis and on down home, and we go down there and stay just, if it was a couple of days, and jump back on it and come back to Newcastle, because we had to. If we was to say, when we first come up here, we weren't satisfied. We didn't
Well, we
really
got
like
home,
it.
So we got home.
We got wasn't home.
Like Scarlett now, what she's going through
Yeah.
with. But we had to stick it out because we couldn't make a living down there. And Linda, at 4 months old, she had 2 teeth. Now that is the truth. Gladys and all of them, and Morse remembers it. Her just a little baby like, she cut teeth early. So if my grandkids does that, they might take it after, Linda. But she had 2 teeth, and her hair, oh,
Pretty blonde.
she had little white hair at first,
Yeah,
just
mine, yeah,
beautiful.
nearly white.
Oh, just perfect white. Then it turned to blonde. Yeah, and she walked early too. Now is that what you want to know
Oh, I
about?
want to know everything
Yeah.
you want to tell.
And her eyes, I'd stand back and I'd like to look at her eyes. Her eyes just seemed like they could just glisten.
Sparkle.
This sparkle.
Little blue eyes.
But she walked her, yeah, pretty blue eyes. Well, every one of them, especially their baby ways. Every one of my babies was beautiful. But getting back to Linda, that she walked early. She walked at 9 months. Yeah, my children walked early. But just remember little reminiscent things like that about her.
Yeah.
Of course, we was young, and Morse helped me take care of Linda. He sure did. He helped take care of the babies. He was awful good about that, and he loved his little babies. If they had the colic or anything, he'd get them on his stomach, and help me so much with them. Of course, I was young too, and us moving up here from Mommy and Pauline, now Gladys and Catherine was a real blessing, a great help. Because when I'd have my other babies, they always filled in, would help take the other little ones, and watch them and keep them, and they'd bring them back home, after we got home. But Linda was the firstborn, like I said. She done things early. Now, she was a smart little girl. And cut them teeth early and walked early, had blonde hair and blue eyes.
And she was a apple of her grandpa's eye.
Yeah,
She was. Grandpa would get
well,
her.
all of them loved her.
Yeah, they
Fat
all did, but
and
Grandpa
fat.
especially. Murder would get her ready to come back, and he'd have her out there playing in the sand.
But back then we couldn't take a lot of pictures. We just got up here and he got his good job. We couldn't afford cameras and everything. And of course, I hate that part about our life. But I have memories. We had memories. And they did have a happy childhood. But now,
So Mom was born in 1944, and when was Donna born?
1946.
1946, 2 years later.
Yeah,
So-
like in 2 years. See, Linda would have been 2 in May, and Donna Sue was born in February the 16th.
Almost
see.
2 years.
Almost 3 months. See,
Like in 3 months.
babies together. Yeah.
Well, what was that? What was her birth like? Was it anything as confusing and crazy as Mom's, or was it more
Well-
controlled? And
Well, hers was more serious, very
It
serious.
was-
She was a breech baby, and it was during the time that we'd been to the doctor that day, and the doctor said, well, told me and Morris that it'd be a little while. Didn't hear what did he tell us that
Yeah,
day?
he said it'd be a while.
But the thing of it was, they was having Donald's memorial service on the weekend. It was and it was on I think a Friday, and they was going to have his memorial service because holding his memorial service, and Morris left to go to his memorial service. Betty Lou was with me. Betty Lou was up there to stay with me, and he wasn't gone on that bus for about an hour and a half till I started in labor. And so it went on till up in the night. There was Catherine and Jim come over there and stayed with me and Betty Lou, and I was in labor.
and this time you're
Not
in Henry County.
in Henry County out here at Newcastle. I started in labor with her that evening after he left on the bus. I imagine, what time do you remember it was when you left that evening? Was it about 5 or 6?
Probably
I
some.
forget all the time, but anyway, started in labor about an hour and a half after he left, or a little while after he left. So Catherine and Jim come over there and stayed with me and Betty Lou. It was up in the night then. And then I had friends that come and stayed, Gene Pitts and then Jimmy Pitts. They come, and he wanted to bring his coffee pot over there and stay longer. But anyway, I was in labor, and they took me out to the hospital. Jim Pitts, our friends did, and Catherine and Jim. Of course, they didn't have no idea what was going on, and I didn't either at the time. But when I got out there, I knew something was wrong up in the morning light, because they had to take Donna Sue. She was a breech baby. Of course, they was nurses. Back then, you know, it was very serious, you know. They had nurses with them coming in and out, and so they had to take her. And Morris didn't know anything about it till he got home. And
So they had to do like a
No.
cesarean, or did
No,
they?
they had
did
they
they
had
Had
to,
turn
they
her.
had
had
to,
to get in there and
they
turn
had
her
to
up,
let her get down there, her little bottom first, and then go up and
Flip her around.
and take her by hand.
Okay.
But he didn't know anything about it till after he got home. She just weighed just a little over 5 pounds. She's
Was-
a little tiny.
Was she okay when she came out?
Yeah, she was all right, but she was a little baby, just a little over 5 pounds. So when he come back, he had another little girl, pretty
So-
little girl,
So now you got almost a 2-year-old and
and a baby.
a little baby. And how are you feeling about this, Grandpa?
Oh, heck, just great. What a dad too.
And
I
you-
think it kind of got him though all that went on.
Well, we wasn't really, when I left, we wasn't
didn't know
expecting
it.
it.
He
We
didn't
wasn't
know.
expecting it that soon.
He wouldn't have left me if he'd known that
No,
it was
I
gonna
don't
happen.
know.
No,
Like I say, Brian, we were young, and you didn't take in consideration like you would now. After you get older,
Well-
you can see the mistakes you made when you was younger. But they had my brother's memorial service, and they was going to have it the next day.
the doctor didn't tell us that time that it was going to be that soon. He didn't know. He wouldn't have left me. He wouldn't have no way left me,
Mm.
and I wouldn't have way let him. You know, not. But see, we was just. If I had to do over again, that would the way it would be. Morse would go attend his brother's memorial service,
Yeah.
because I was in good hands. But she was an awful cute little, but she was tiny, very tiny little baby.
And surprisingly, like you seem to catch it surprisingly, your grandma would always go back to about 97, 98 pounds.
But she.
Yeah.
So
She-
that,
She'd go back to that until, what was it, Janice or Tommy?
Janice, after Janice was
After
born,
Janice
I went
born.
from chubby to like I am now. Maybe. Oh, I weighed, I guess, more than what I weigh now. 'Cause
Yeah, you got pretty chunky.
yeah. But to do it over again, Morse didn't know it, and I didn't know it, and I wouldn't change it. I'd want him to go down there and be with his people, because I had awful good mother and father and daughter. You know, I was their daughter-in-law, and they loved me.
Well, now Militia, you remember how much trouble Militia was when she was a little girl. I mean, Johnny was always real good, and he was never in trouble, but Militia was just always running crazy. Was Donna like Militia, or was she more like Johnny was?
She was an awful good little girl. She
Yeah,
was
she
more
was.
quieter. Yeah, she was more quieter. Yeah, awful good little girl. Yeah.
Until she got a little older.
Well, she wasn't ever mean.
Well, about
No,
her and
wasn't.
Sue and Donna Sue.
Oh yes, that was a fun times. That
Oh,
was a
man.
comical fun times. That was the part of their growing up, the happy part of it too.
So she was a good, quiet little
Yeah,
baby.
yeah,
and-
she was. She was more like Johnny. She never. And Linda was too. Linda was a good little girl,
Yeah, she
wasn't
was a
she?
good girl.
Yeah.
She was always a take charge girl.
So what was the big difference between Linda and Donna as they were growing up? Did they, like say, Mom was maybe the take charge, the leader, and Donna was the follower? And how
Well,
did
not
it-
always willingly.
Well, now they both was good little girls.
Yeah, they were.
They both. Now Donna, Sue, and Linda both. They was awful good in minding us. Now on
Yeah,
wash
they
day,
did. Yeah,
on
they
wash day, that's when I'd leave the dishes, and then help do them. But no, they was both good.
Yeah,
And they got
Yeah.
along well with each other. And
Yeah.
Well, until they got teenagers, like we was going to get into that. Sue, and we moved down there at Sue's house when they got more in their teens, and it just tickled Maud and Jessie to death because they wanted Donna Sue to tag along with Sue and Linda. Of course, they was older, maybe they didn't want her to tag along with them,
Yeah.
that was with it. But it tickled Jessie to death and Maud. And of course, Donna Sue, she'd put her little hair back in a pony's tail, worked straight back, And of course, Linda and Sue, they'd fix their hair, don't take pains. And that just tickled Donna Sue. They said that she'd just, they'd go up to town, they'd want Donna Sue to follow her one. They said Donna Sue just followed her just like a little kangaroo, didn't
Yeah.
they? And of course, Sue and Linda didn't like that, But that's just little teenagers.
yeah. So when Tommy was born in 1948, or
Yeah.
He'll be 50. He's
19.
December, yeah.
okay.
He-
So you had two girls at this time. You had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and Grandma got pregnant. And was you wanting a boy?
No, Brian, I can't say that my recollection, because I was satisfied with my girls, and
Just proud.
I wanted a boy. I couldn't say that I didn't want a boy,
But, you was
but
proud.
I would accept it if it had been another little girl, because I had happy times with them little girls, and then along come Tommy, and Tom was a good little guy, a good little boy,
Well,
course.
now,
until they got a little older.
let me tell you something. Now, Tommy, I had a difficult time with him, and that's when the family come in too and helped. Let's see, Gladys kept him, a lot when I was
Yeah.
in labor. She kept them, and then yeah, she did. And then the time she brought him back, that's when I started having labor with Tom. He was a Christmas Eve baby. If he'd went the next day, he'd been a Christmas baby.
Oh, his birthday's December
Yeah.
24th.
Yeah, he was yeah.
What will be doing Johnny's December the 26th, the day
Yeah.
after. That's pretty.
But Morris was so proud of him too.
Oh, yeah.
He'd take him and show him around. Yes, he was proud of every one of them.
Yeah, I
Proud
can't
of
say I
every one
wasn't
of
proud of my kids, but like I say, if it had been a girl, I would still
Mhm.
been just as proud, because I was proud of my kids, always have been, and tried to be a good dad to them. I tried to raise them right. I was probably a little strict at times, but that was our heritage back then. When you was raised up like I was, you didn't. The courts wasn't taking over the schools and telling you couldn't pray in school and all that, and consequently, they was raised up in an environment a lot different than the kids are today.
But he was special. He was just as special as the others was.
So what happened that day on Christmas Eve? That what?
Well, they had taken my two girls from me. I'd started going in labor with him at 8 months, and they didn't want that to happen, did they? Was it
Yeah.
8 or 7 months long? It was one of the months that they didn't want you to, And I had to stay off my feet. And the night that Gladys and Jonesy brought her back, she had Linda and Donna Sue for about a week. And of course I missed my little girls. I could not stand it. And when they brought them back, I went into labor early the next morning. And of course they had to take him, just the two they had to take. The navel cord was wrapped around his neck. And yes, he was special, just like the two little girls was.
Mm-hmm.
He was very special too. And very pretty. He weighed 7 pounds and half, wasn't 7 pounds?
Something
like that. He weighed over 7.5 pounds. He was the biggest baby. Yeah.
But what I meant to say, though, like I told you prior to that, if it had been a little girl, I'd have been satisfied. But I was more satisfied when it come to be a little boy, and then the next one fell into a little girl. So I had 3 girls and a boy. And, of course, Linda was my tomboy for a long time before.
Yeah.
See, now that there was 1, there's 2, there's about 4 years there
They
before Tom
always-
come along.
They all had their special place.
Yeah.
They all was special, but each one of them had their special place.
But I would have to
That's
follow
good,
Tom around, Brian. When he had the mumps, I had to follow him around because he'd
Too.
pick up big rocks and stuff. And you know with mumps, you don't do that because they'd fall on you and it'd be trouble for you. And I'd have to follow that little guy around to keep him from picking up rocks or anything else on account of them mumps. Of course, sometimes, I don't know about now, but sometimes I think they confined them to get them off their feet or whatever. But you might as well forget that with him.
Yeah.
He was one of them kind of, hey, I'm ready to go, let's get it. And we was ready to go. And of course, consequently, I'd have to follow after him to keep him from picking up stuff that he shouldn't be picking up with mumps. But after Tom come, why, then he got to be a teenager, got up in, then me and him got to palling around, and we'd go hunting together, and go, we hunted more together than we fished. We fished once in a while, but more so we'd hunt together. And
I don't remember all that, but I remember.
Well, I
Kenny
remember
Burke's-
it.
Well, yeah.
because I bought him his first gun.
Yeah, you did.
I bought him his first shotgun.
Got him
He
his
was
first
only about-
bicycle.
He was only about 14 years old, I think it was, when I bought him his first shotgun, and boy, he was real proud of that. And of course, him and I would go hunting a lot together, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, whatever. But after that, of course, then Linda was getting bigger, of course, and
She
it
was
wasn't
a
Dad.
caregiver. Linda always helped with the little ones, and Donna Sue did too. That's what I'm saying. They were such good kids. Time that Linda and Donna Sue, Donna Sue could make the best, prettiest bed and sweep, and Linda, she always liked to do the dishes. She always liked to clean up the kitchen. But they was awful good kids, weren't they, Morris?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were.
So how did Donna and Linda react to having a new baby, especially a new baby boy in the
Oh,
house?
They loved her.
They just loved on it.
They loved
Yeah,
them.
they loved on that. It's just like having a new doll in the house.
So
Yeah.
Tommy was a little doll. They
Yeah,
ever put him in a dress?
No,
No,
they didn't do that.
no, we dressed him in boys' clothes.
Yeah, Eva gave us a lot of boys' clothes. Before he was born, she sent up. Back then, people helped each other, Brian. They did. You'd be surprised. And see, we knew a lot of friends that we was in church, and people they was good to your kids. Nala and Chester used to come, and of course they couldn't have babies for years. In fact, they never did have none that lived. She'd lose her babies, you know. But they loved our children and said they'd get away and talk how they would raise our family. And Janice wasn't destructive, but Janice was the one that would
Nosy.
help her. Be in the other room, like we'd be a sad one room. Janice would be in the room going through drawers or
Rummaging through
looking around.
drawers.
But each one had their personality.
So Janice was born in 2 years younger than Tommy, or
Yeah.
1950?
Yeah.
She was born?
Tommy was 15 months old when I got pregnant with Janice. And she was a beautiful baby, too.
Yeah.
Every one of my kids was
Every one
pretty.
of them was, and we loved every one of them.
Now, I should have asked this earlier. At what time did you start living in this house that we're in right now?
Tell you,
Oh,
I could tell her.
what time?
Janice was 10. We lived up there, and the Turner house. We had moved from Maud and Jesse's house. Linda was married. Linda and Kenny was married when we moved down here.
Oh,
They
okay.
was in
So
Texas.
you weren't in this house
No,
when all
when
this was going
Linda
on.
married,
Okay.
we lived back there at Maud and Jesse's house.
Okay. Well, you can get to that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Janice then?
Well, Janice, we lived up there in the Turner house, and Tom and Bernie Akers lived in this. One time, this was apartment. This was a 3-room apartment. See, in the shower. That was after the war. You know, war time. They built this, and I was 15 months. Tommy was 15 months old, like I said, when I got pregnant with Janice, and we lived up there in the flower garden then. And Janice was born up there in the flower garden, they called it. And then from the flower garden, we moved down here to Maud and Jesse's. And then from Maud and Jesse's, we moved up here in the Turner house. But Linda got married, like I said, when we lived down at Maud and Jesse's house.
Okay. Well, so was there anything unusual with Janice's birth, or was
No.
it pretty smooth? Or
Yeah, it was smooth. Janice's birth, it was more faster. And Linda's, like I said, I had a normal, healthy birth with Linda too, but with the others too. But of course, it's hard. Even the easiest birth is hard.
okay. So any unusual circumstances with that? Where your grandpa at work? Did you have to walk 2 miles to the hospital in a snowstorm?
No, Morrison worked that day, and Linda was about 8 years old. I'll never forget that morning. And I started in labor after Dad went to work, and Linda, we had to carry our water, see, from a hydrant up there, and I let Linda stay home with me. She was 8 years old, and I let her stay home that morning, and with me. And when Morris come in from work at 2:30, why, we went to the hospital. Of course, Catherine and Gladys took care of my babies. I never had to worry about them, my little ones, and they was well taken care of. And then they'd bring you home, because you stayed in the bed 9 days then. But my little girls was well taken care of, and Tommy.
Well, they had Marva and Teresa to play with over there at Catherine's. So
Well,
Well,
see,
they-
yeah, Catherine kept Linda and Tommy, and I think Gladys kept Donna Sue. And of course, they wanted Morris to stay all night sometimes
I
too.
told
Down
him
there
no,
with them.
I wouldn't do that.
But Morris wouldn't. You know, he wanted to stay up there at the house. But they was awful good to my kids. They loved them. Gladys and Catherine both was good to help me.
Yeah, what would we have done? We didn't have no money to really pay anybody to do it, and man, that was a godsend for us, because, like I say, you wasn't making no money, and consequently, we'd just come up here and no money saved or whatever. So that was just a real help for us.
So now, how was Janice different from? She's the youngest. So how was she different from the other kids?
Like I said, when she was little, but she wasn't never destructive, Janice. She liked to pamper, but her and Tommy was so good together. See, back then you never had a lot of toys and things, but they was awful good. Of course, Linda and Donna Sue, they was in school. Now up there they'd catch the bus. You know, the bus would pick them up and take them to the rally school. But they didn't go very long there. About a year or 2 years, didn't they? The bus would pick them up and then bring them there. But then they started in Sunnyside. But no, my kids played good together. Yeah, they played good together. They was good children.
Okay. So now you got a whole house full.
Yeah, I got 4.
You got 4 kids. Do you want any more?
No, I don't believe we do.
Okay.
We'll settle with our grandkids and
So
There you go.
You didn't want any more after Janice. You thought we're done.
No,
no, we didn't.
no, we didn't.
We didn't want no more
No.
after she was born. We want more. Well,
We had our hands full.
Now, at that point, what were Christmases like? What are some special
Oh,
Christmas memories?
oh, good, every one of them was it.
Oh man.
You had little, you didn't, but you know they was happy times. We always had a tree up, Morris, and the night before Christmas, he'd always let them burn that tree till all night if they wanted. Yeah, they'd be so happy.
They'd be
Little
laying
hands.
where they could watch that tree, and they'd ask if they could leave them lights on,
Yeah.
and they'd go to sleep. And I think at times I'd get up, shut them off because of, fear of a fire. But we'd always try to let them run it as long as we could. But on Christmas morning, that was a good fun time.
Yeah, we always had a lot of friends and brothers and sisters in the church too. A lot of times we'd be invited a lot over to married Orban Holden's, we'd have our meals and they'd come here and we'd go to Frida and John Moore's house, have our meals, and they'd
And
be at
Sister
our
Penn.
house. Sister Penn. See, had a lot of friends and had a lot of sisters and brothers in the church then.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't live no lonely life. The rest of them was the same shape that you was in. A lot of times, if Morris would be a lot laid off, the other brothers would be laid off.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go out to Sister Manzy's, and Linda told us one time, she said she'd see the roof of Sister Manzy's house. Said that always made her so happy. We'd go out there and just turn them loose, let them play in them woods and that yard. They minded Sister
Oh, yeah.
Manzy. So I think they had a happy childhood.
Mm-hmm. So Christmases, what kind of presents
Oh,
would you
you
get
tell
them?
them.
We'd get them coloring books or
Pajamas or something like
pajamas or something. We got them something that they
You
could
could
use
afford.
all through the year, and they could. But of course, we would get them a toy or two. But what we got them, they were just as happy with that. And you talk about, I can still see some of it. They get under that Christmas tree, and you could see them a trembling. They didn't know which present to get a hold of, which time, and how quick to get it. And it was something to watch. You've got one of your own, and you can realize what it was. Which when you got four there, getting under that Christmas tree, trying to grab presents and don't know which one to get a hold of first. That was it was just joy. Our kids was always a joy to us. We enjoyed our kids tremendously. Whatever, if you had to give them a whipping, you didn't even want to, but sometimes you had to.
Not
And-
very many more.
No, not very many, but sometimes you did have to. After they got a little older, not when they was real young. I don't think either one of us done that much whipping on them because they were good
We
kids.
loved them, my mercy.
Yeah.
No, they never got very many gifts, Brian. They done good to get 2 or 3 gifts. But what made it was the love, that we had and they had, the closeness of it, that's what it was.
If they got a doll, that doll was carried around all the time. They would. Them girls would carry them dolls, and they'd, just like girls will, they'd get off to themselves and play with them dolls. But they never got old, like some things are to kids today. They get old and they just sling them aside. But whenever you got stuff like that, it was like when I was growing up. When I got a pocket knife and an orange and an apple, I had it all.
I know they never got very much, but like I said, I know we always got them coloring crayons and things, and I remember Morris getting Tommy a little red wagon and
Yeah.
a bicycle, but back then, you through the year you couldn't afford to get them toys and things. No, you couldn't.
No,
you couldn't. You couldn't afford to
couldn't
pick up
afford it.
toys.
Today the toys are so prominent that you can just go and pick them up at a rummage sale and they're just like new. But back then, you didn't find them like that because they wasn't rummage sales back then like they are today. But what they got, what I like to impress, what
They
they got,
appreciated.
they appreciated. And
Yeah,
they'll
they
tell
did.
you that to yourself. Even if we weren't around, they'd tell you that they really appreciated and enjoyed what they got.
Yeah, Mom's mentioned that to me numerous times about they'd be so excited. They'd get
Yeah.
a couple of coloring books, they'd
Yeah.
get a doll,
Yeah.
and they said they would talk about
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe a little pair of pajamas if you could afford it. But anyway, we'd have our big meals, and Mom Keller and them, they'd come up back then too. We lived back there. One time we had a rooster, and we killed that rooster and cooked that rooster. Mom Keller, we made dumplings, didn't we? We just enjoyed life. And Dad Keller would get up early in the morning. Oh, we had a fire, Brian, and that fire would go out. Morris would bank that. They did start staying with. We had more bedroom, and Morris would get up and us, and there's that Dad Keller with his hat on, and Donna Sue standing there with her coat on, and for the house to warm up. Y'all been standing there. And one time we had a bird. Now you listen to this happen. One time someone give us a bird, and we left. Now Linda was big enough then to watch the others while we'd go on Fridays, and that's when
Get
they always
groceries.
had their pop, their carton of RC. Once a week they got the carton of RC. Well, Tommy Dale said it always made him mad. Linda would open up that bottle of RC and always take a drink of that
Of
before
his.
she brought it up.
Oh, that makes
They
him,
got their blown in the
he'd get hostile.
And then little, see, she was a caregiver. But anyway, on Friday we'd do that. And we'd get them their blown in potato chips and their pop. They always looked forward to that,
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
they? Always looked.
That's just like going to McDonald's to them. Really, seriously, it was.
It was.
Just like going to McDonald's. And but boy, Tom would get real hostile because if she opened a bottle of pop, she took the first drink.
Yeah,
She's a smart girl.
Boy, he didn't like that one bit. No, sir. But I don't
They
think
loved each other.
They loved one another. They never
Yeah.
did come to blows, but they let one
Well,
another know.
I think they probably did a lot when we
We
wasn't
maybe
around.
didn't know anything about it.
Well, you know they did as children
Because
grow.
see, Fridays was payday, and me and her'd have to go get groceries.
And you
Well,
could
Linda
trust
was big enough to take care of it, and like your grandma said, we'd buy them pop and potato chips and bologna while we went to the store, because Linda was the babysitter. But like I said, we don't know what all went on. It might have got real hostile there for a while.
Well, they had their television too. They
Yeah.
could watch cartoons.
black
we
and
was-
white.
We
Black
wasn't
and
gone
white.
that long,
No.
you know. But Donna, Sue, and Linda, like I said back then, kids was different. You could rely upon them, you know. And they was different back then. And like, well, Tommy was a good little boy, and Janice, I don't know how, guess Janice probably palfred around while we was going, I don't know. But anyway, they was good. But that was one thing funny that stood out. That Tommy Dale said Linda always, when she opened up that bottle of pop, she'd take a drink of his.
So, what were the other holidays like Thanksgiving, July 4th,
Wow.
Easter? I mean,
Well, on July the 4th, we'd always take them out there at the park.
Yeah.
You know where that built that prison up there on that hill.
Mhm.
Till they got
Okay,
bigger.
we sat on that bank
Yeah.
across from the lake there and watched the fireworks. We went out there every year at fireworks time when they was small kids. We went out there and struggled with that, and we enjoyed it too. But buddy, after that was over with, I was ready to back off from that.
And we would be invited out a lot too. Our kids was well behaved,
Yeah,
Brian.
they were.
When we took them someplace, they wasn't destructive. They was good, nice kids, and they was allowed to play out, you know, and things like that. But when we took them someplace, and we was invited out. In fact, when Janice was just the first place I went with Janice, we was invited out to Sister Manzy's for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, people wanted us to come. We was invited out, and as they got bigger now, they got in their teens, they didn't want to go everywhere with me and Morse, you know.
yeah.
But they was good. Of course, we had company here a lot. Linda will tell you about Sister Vernie. She's just like my own sister. She'd come and stay weeks at a time. And my kids loved her, and she loved them. She'd be pleased with bologna, or fried potatoes, and macaroni and tomatoes. I cooked a lot of macaroni and tomatoes. My kids come home for their dinner. I'd have my hot dinner fixed, and then they'd go back to school. But then as they got in the bigger classes, some of them didn't come home.
Okay.
But I'd have them a good meal. Fix cornbread and potatoes and beans and just different things. And on Sunday would be our good meal. Where you'd have your good meat and your cobblers and everything.
Mhm.
A lot of times we had company then too. Yeah.
So that all the kids were, everybody was going to church every Sunday, and it was like
That was
an extension of your family down there
That
at
was
the
it.
church.
That was it.
That was it. Them kids know that Sunday morning was time to get up early. Of course, then you had to get up early to get them all ready, and I was driving the bus. And of course, they always looked forward to riding that. And I'd take everybody to church, and then wait until the church was over and take them all back home.
Now, what year is this?
This was,
Back there, Mars.
yeah, we lived back in Maud's, and Lord Brian, that's been a long time ago.
I think Linda met Kenny. Didn't she meet him at brother, well, Linda tell you that, but I think she had a revival somewhere. It seemed like that she met Kenny and started dating him.
So you're probably talking about 1956, 1957.
Could have been somewhere in there.
Around in there.
But when we lived here, Brian, we always let our kids have friends come
Okay,
still
when I
night.
come in church, I was 25 years old. Linda was
Five.
Linda was 5 when I come into church, and we was in church from then on.
Yeah.
All my kids was raised in church, and one incident I got to tell you
About the
about.
car, about driving that one.
Well, I'll tell you about that, but I want to tell you about one other incident. I was driving the bus, and of course everybody rode the bus then. You didn't have that many cars, and the bus, we had one of the big old school buses, and I drove it all service, every service, morning, afternoon, and night, if we had them that way. And I was way downtown someplace, way out and Brother Howard pulled up beside of me. He said, "Did you lose somebody?" I said, "No, not that I know of." He said, "Well, Tom's laying back here in church on the seat asleep." And I didn't even know that I'd left him there. He was just a little guy then, but I'd left him back there, and of course I had to go back there and get him. And then the other incident, Linda was starting to drive.
Oh my!
All this,
This
was something. This is something, boy. It was, I had one of them stick shifts, and of course I was trying to learn them how to drive. Donna Sue and Linda both. And I'd have to whip on their legs to keep them getting from holding, dropping that clutch all at once. They just go rabbit hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyhow, we come down here, and I told Linda, I said, "Now, Linda, stop before you get there to that field." And Brian, it was winter time, but the ground wasn't froze, but it had been bad. She run that out into that field and sunk it clean to the axles. She come to the house laughing, and I come to the house a grumbling.
Yeah, you come to the house grumbling mad. Somebody had to get the car out. But Linda come to the house just laughing. So we had fun times too.
And
Comical.
another incident. This was another one, and I give up after this one. Donna Sue, I had that Dart, Dodge Dart. We went out in the country and took your grandma with us. And of course, Grandma was in the back seat, and this was a stick shift too. And I got Donna Sue under the wheel, and she started driving, and it just started bunny hopping like this. And I'd have to whip her legs and tell her to quit dropping off that clutch too quick. And your grandma raised up and said, "Oh, take me home. I'm so nervous. Take me home."
I laid down in the back seat of the
She
car.
laid down in the back seat.
Seemed like I was always caught in the middle of it. But I enjoyed their growing up, Brian. They'd come in, me and Morrison being we just had the 2-bedroom, and then upstairs Jesse fixed it where we could have a little bed up there or something. And they'd come in and start telling me about the fun things, and I'd get up and I'd go
No,
in there and
here, let's tell it like it is now. They'd come in, well, they'd maybe been on a date or whatever, but they'd come walk in. Their grandma said, "Mom, we got something to tell you. Now, girls, I ain't getting up. Now, you just go on to bed. I ain't getting up." And then they'd slip back, "Mom, you ought to listen to this, what we got to tell you." Before I know it, Brian, I'd hear them way up in the morning, and I'd go in there and try to get them quieted down, and she would be laying between them, and they would be telling her all them things that they went on in their life, and she was just as much into it as they were. Because she would be just questioning them, I guess, as much as they'd be giving her answers or telling her things. And you'd have to quiet them down, because I was working days. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to get them quieted down so I'd go to sleep. And how long she stayed in there with them, I don't know. But she'd be right in between them, one on each side of her, and them and laughing and going on just like they was.
But I forget a lot of it, but I do know that we let them have their friends overnight. We did. Donnie Silvers was close to our family. He was just like our own too. And when we was down there's some gray boys that lived next door. And naturally, you know how little boys is, they'll get in a rock fight and throw at each other. And one time, Joe come back there, and Catherine had seen it all, and Joe, I don't guess, knowed about the father of it. And he come back there jumping on Morse about Tommy, accusing Tommy of all of it. And Catherine come a-springing across there, and she said, Joe, Gray said your boys was just as much into it. Said they started throwing rocks first. Of course, Donnie and Tommy began to throw rocks back. But then if it hadn't been for that, Morse would have corrected Tommy because we didn't want him to get out and cause trouble in the neighborhood. But anyway, we found out, that their boys had started too.
Yeah.
But in Donnie Silver's, he was close to us.
Now, was he a big friend with Tommy? Did they hang out together? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One time I went looking for Tommy.
They played together.
Yeah, they played together, and I went looking for Tommy, and I couldn't find him. Well, Marty lived in this first house up here where Rhonda lives right now. I walked in there, and I said, Johnny was sitting there in a chair. He's just a little pudgy. He's just a little dumpling, was what he was, and he was going like this. I said, Donnie, where's Tommy? He said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I said, Donnie, I didn't say you didn't do it. I said, where's Tommy? He said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And I just give up. I couldn't. And but they had been out there, and like Myrtle said, the Grays, they get in rock fights.
Well, Tommy and Donnie
And
would
Tommy and Donnie would
too.
respond. They'd go right back.
Well, maybe
out.
sometimes they started, or maybe
Yeah.
they start just like little boys like,
But Donnie thought he was going to get a whipping as well as Tommy.
Probably
But
deserved it.
this was comical. I'd say, come on, Tom. He'd done something and I didn't approve of. He wasn't a very big. He was only about your nephew's size, Christy's little boy.
Zachary?
Yeah, about size Zachary.
Oh, he's bigger than that.
Well,
Lord,
no, he's about not much.
No, he had to be 3 or 4 years.
Well, maybe he
older
was.
than that.
Maybe he
But
was.
older than that,
He-
I don't know for sure.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was 4 years old, 3 or 4 years. 4 years old, maybe.
I know
But anyhow, he wore one of those old sailor caps, and he always turned the bill sideways over
Oh,
his
yeah,
head. or
he
something
might have
like
been
that.
3 or 4 then, yeah.
And so he'd done something, and I was going to give him a whipping. I said, "Come on, Tom." And we was walking out to the woodshed. He said, "Daddy, don't whip me with the switch. Whip me with your hand."
Now, see, things like that I can't hardly bear. One time I asked Linda, I said, Linda, did I whip you too hard? After they get big, it's things like that, that this breaks your heart. But we loved our kids, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Morse probably whipped
But
him.
but the thing of it is, Brian, when I told them to do something, I meant what I
But they
said.
minded.
And if they didn't obey me, then they knowed the woodsheds where they went. But this was, I forget just what it was that Tommy, and I was going to whip him, but I had to hold my hand over my mouth to keep from laughing at him, because he was looking right up at me like that, and he said, "Daddy, don't whip me with your switch, whip me with your hand."
Oh, I couldn't have done
And
it.
I had to hold my mouth so I couldn't keep from laughing at him. But when they got me in that kind of mood, I wouldn't give him a very hard whipping. But if I was really aggravated, I'd whip him really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes that I would regret it. And Merle would say, "Morse, you ought to go and apologize to him." I said, "No,
Well,
I
that's
ain't
what
going
he
to do
said.
that. Because I think that defeats the purpose that you started for doing." And I never would apologize to him, but I would make over him after he went to sleep because I wished I had to whip him.
Well,
that
he
hard.
didn't know it.
Mm.
He didn't know it, but Morse, he would. I know that one time. But no, them the things, nowadays people, they sit different, But my kids, they never got beat on,
No.
Brian. That sounds like, awful, something like that. But no.
I don't
did.
think I was very sure. Well, I didn't have to whip any of them that
One
much.
time I think he whipped him too hard. If I'd have been there, when he said one time that, and he tells me that yet today, and I couldn't hardly keep from laughing. He said, "Mom," he said, "Dad didn't believe me." He said, "I didn't lie." He said, "That rooster did peck me." Said, "That rooster pecked me," and said, "Dad told me that I was lying and whipped me for it."
So what did he do to the rooster?
I don't know.
It was something about, he told me about, he said that rooster did peck him. Now, if I'm not mistaken,
I don't know. I
Nest
thought
told
he
me.
took a rock to it or not. I don't remember.
That's what I figured he'd
But
done.
anyhow, I imagine that was what was it, and I give him a licking for it because of what he done. And I was
I
like,
think you thought he lied to you, but Tommy
Yeah.
just said he didn't lie about that rooster pecking me. He said that rooster did back then. But if I'd been there, you know, I'd.
Those stupid roosters can be mean.
Oh yes, they can.
Jeez.
But he loved him. Morse was a good dad. He loved him.
So
Yeah, he did.
you had your big gardens.
Oh yeah, we
in the
raised a
summer.
lot of what we eat then. Yeah, you raised a lot of what we eat, and everybody knowed they had a job.
That's what I was about to ask. Did the kids know that they had to help
yeah.
you guys in the garden?
They always knowed they had a job.
I can't remember them helping the garden. Did they help in the garden?
No, I'm talking about when it comes to getting the food ready, picking beans and stuff like that. If I remember right, they helped. They may have not done that much, but they helped. Especially me and Tom, we would get out together. And
This is the only place that we had a garden.
yeah,
Real garden.
but-
We had a garden one time over there at Maud's and Jesse's, and when they put pigs behind there, and then we quit having to have a garden. One time back there, I can remember we had a garden, and it was a pretty one too.
but when I say they knowed they had a job, the girls knowed they had a job. One of them was to do the dishes, one of them was to do the sweeping or whatever.
You know, Morse Day, that's what
And wash days like that, they knowed everybody knowed they had a
But that was-
job. And Tom knowed he had a job because
Yeah.
we burnt coal, we had burnt coke and stuff like
yeah,
that,
he helped.
and he had to help on doing that because I was working the shop as well as doing that. And so Tom knowed he had to get in the firewood or whatever
That's true.
and the coal, and the
Yeah.
girls had their job.
Yeah, and on the weekends, them girls helped. They was immaculate. I'll tell you, when it come to sweeping and making beds, yeah, they was, and they didn't mind it. No, they didn't mind it that much, And Mom Keller on Christmas time, too, she'd always send a box and have their things that she made it homemade, like skirts and things. And my mother, Brian, my mom, always seen that Donna Sue and Linda got the dresses and things that Roberta Kay outgrowed, because Mom raised Roberta Kay till she was 7 years old. See, Pauline didn't marry till Joe till Roberta Kay was 7. And Mommy always seen that my girls, and they was just like new.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, families clung together, and they really loved each other. That love was deep.
Tell them about
Yeah.
the time that Donna Sue got up to church and sung the song.
Oh, that was comical. Mary Holden, we had a Christmas play, and Donna Sue had a little Christmas poem to recite. And all the church was full, Brian. And we didn't even know she knew that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. She got up there in that church.
And she was
full.
real shy.
She's shy, timid like Johnny. She got up there and she forgot her verse, and she sung Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer plumb through.
Brother Howard sitting back there just a laughing.
It was something. And Mary Holden was out. We had to go to the hospital later on, and she was telling them about it in her room, and they said that they just laughed. But can you imagine this, like Sarah getting bigger, have a little verse to say and get up and sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? But she done good, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And Brother Howard had gold teeth, a couple of gold teeth in his mouth, and he would say, and I think I was back in the, along the side there where I could see her, but I looked back there and Brother Howard was just like cracking up, laughing at her. Because she was so unless you seen her, you couldn't realize, but she was real
She'd
timid.
cry.
Yeah, she was real
she was
timid.
timid.
Where Linda was more forward,
Yeah.
Donna Sue was reserved and timid.
So how old was she when she sang this song?
Oh, she was about
5 or 6.
yeah.
And she sang the whole thing all the way
She
through, huh?
got up there, and it was the cutest thing. And me and Morse looked at each other. We was got, but we thought it was beautiful, you know. But everyone, it was just something. Yeah.
Did everybody else in the church just kind
Oh,
of look at
yeah,
each
they-
other like, what's happening?
Here we thought she was going to say her verse.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they picked up with her on the piano and went ahead and played it.
Did they really?
I think they did, if I remember right. Sister Sells, I think, was playing the piano, or Mary Holden won, and they picked right up and
yeah, it must have been Mary.
yeah, it might have been Mary, and they picked up and played it, and she's
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. All that we've had some fun things going on when them kids was little.
Yeah, and Linda.
And Linda, Brian, one time, she was a teenager then, and they come and got me and said Linda's nose was bleeding.
This actually.
And Brian, I went out there, and her nose just a running in a stream, blood. And we didn't know what to do. We couldn't get a stop. So I went back in, got Brother Howard, and some of the other ministers. Now, Brian, I'll not forget this, and this is the truth as I'm sitting here telling it. They started praying for her, and you could see that blood just looked like it just start letting it. Finally, it just quit altogether. After they had prayer for her nose quit bleeding right then and never did bother after that.
What was the matter with it? You wonder?
We don't know whether it just come on her all at once or not. But I don't forget who come and got me, but they had to go outside, I think, on account of
Yeah,
that.
that really happened.
Oh, how old was she then?
But
She was a
must have been
teenager.
13. I won't say
Just
give
before
or
Honey
take.
Kenny was married.
Now, Linda may remember it more. She might have been 13. But now her and Sue palled around a lot. They was close. And, of course, like I said about Donna, Sue would follow him then. But,
And they didn't want her for him.
yeah, Maud and Jesse would get so tickled about it. But they was awful good children. They was really good, wasn't they, Morris?
Yeah.
And they played together. Like I said, they never had a lot of toys to play with and things like that. And Teresa was protector too of Tommy. Them gray boys would jump on him. They'd say Teresa would count and say, "I'm giving you 3," and boys they'd scout.
And she'd fight him.
Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa
About
Miller.
what?
Yeah, she'd take
She'd fight
Tommy's
him.
part. Yeah, she said sometimes she'd chase Janice down for Linda and Donna Sue to correct her, and then sometimes she'd take up for Janice.
That's funny. I've always pictured Marva being the
Oh, Teresa was a...
big go-getter.
Oh,
and
man, Teresa was
Well,
a go-getter.
She'd take up for Tommy.
Yes, she
Tommy.
would.
Yes, she would.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
They had a lot of Jim in them,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, they had a lot of Catherine in them, too.
Well, Catherine would
Oh,
take
Kath.
up for my kids.
Yeah,
oh,
she would.
yes.
Catherine.
And Vernie, Sister Akers loved them. Boy, she'd take
Yeah.
up for them too.
Was Catherine a spark plug?
Well, yeah, she'd fight for her kids just
Yeah,
like
she
I would.
would.
Oh, yeah, I'd take up for my
Yeah,
kids.
your grandma would.
Oh, yes.
There wasn't nobody put anything on them that wasn't supposed to be there, that's for sure.
Oh, yes. And I wouldn't, I didn't leave now with Sister Manzi, I'd leave them with Sister Manzi Troxel and not worry about them. And with Gladys and Catherine. But no, we took our kids with us. When we went anywhere, they went with
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
And
our
when we
kids.
ate, they ate.
Oh, boy. Tell them about that, Mom.
Oh, you tell him better than me.
Her uncle was staying with us, and of course I wasn't saved yet. I wasn't living right. And he got laid off, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And they come in to live with us, and so we was outside, and Arvel proceeded to tell me, he said, "Now here's what we're going to do." He said, "We're going to all eat first, and them kids are going to wait." And I thought, oh, we'll see how this works out. So I let him get his foot in his mouth before he kicked his hind end with it. And so he went in there and told Myrtle, said, "We're eating before these kids." And man, he should have kept his mouth shut after she got through with him. He knew he should have kept his mouth shut. She let him know in no uncertain terms, when we eat, they eat.
Well, it aggravated me too, because that was never went on, and if we'd have less on too, if we did, my babies would have ate first before me and Morris.
Yeah.
But they, and I told Arvel, I said, "No, Arvel," I said, "when we eat," I said, "our kids eat," and that's the way it happened with his too. When me and Christine, he wasn't coming in there and controlling and thinking my little kids would wait, because if they hadn't been enough, the grown-ups would have waited. I was protective about them, but no, I'd leave them with Sister Manzi, because I know she loved them. She loved them all and was good to them. And Nolan Chester.
Yeah.
That was somebody else that I'd leave my kids
And
with.
Chester gets aggravated with them. He'd take them into Spiceland.
When they was little, tell about Linda and Doll, Sue and Bobby when they was little.
They'd all hang their little heads out the window hollering at everybody.
And
Chester
dirty.
would come back. They'd be dirty, a little, been playing out, and be dirty, dusty or whatever. And they'd holler at everybody along the street, and Chester would come back. It'd be
Take
just
them
a
no
few
more.
minutes. He said, "I ain't taking them no more." Said, "They act like little idiots."
Now they'd holler at people, And oh, they loved it out there, Brian. They loved that country. Sister Manzi was, they'd mind, all she'd have to do is call them down. And they was so good and wonderful. Well, they was good here at the house too. But they really loved Sister Manzi. She'd cook them big meals and have us out. Well, a lot of times she'd have us out there through the week too. as well as on Sunday.
All she'd have to do, Brian, is just holler at my kids and Buddy, that put the quiet. They stopped right then and listened. Because Buddy, she could holler out just real rough like, you know, and that
Wouldn't have
scared
hurt
them
'em.
kids, and she wouldn't hurt them at all.
No, she loved them.
No, she wouldn't have hurt them.
So I don't think they lived a lonely life.
No,
Because
they,
we had a lot of friends and church people.
So how long did it go as far as your financial situation? Was there ever a time when you had any of the kids at home that you were doing well?
Well, he went on with his raises.
I just kept going on with raises, but
I moved down here to me.
when you had your kids at home, of course, naturally, it was a little more expensive, you know, because you had to provide your food and all that.
Well, things got better even.
Yeah,
through
but
the
every
labor.
year, every contract, things would just get a little bit better. You know, on these contracts, you get a little bit more money and you fare a little bit better. I could buy them more things than I could maybe the 2 or 3 years
Well,
back.
to make the story short, there when we moved down here, he was making $3 an hour, and Brian, that was good money, and he worked at Chrysler. Well, when we moved down here, he went and got a job for Dickerson's too. He held on about 8 years there, and made, you know, and that was what we again could be put on our house. And then the kids was bigger. Tommy Dale at 17, he quit and got him a job at Miller and Jones, meat cutter, and
Miller's Market.
Miller's Market, yeah. He quit school. And then Donna Sue, she worked too. She worked out. And I said things got better.
Oh yeah, after they got pretty well where they could help along, you know, on their own.
Well, we always had plenty of food.
But we had
wasn't.
plenty to eat.
Yeah, we had plenty. Maybe we didn't have the nicest houses to live in, but we always had plenty to eat. Never went cold, did they?
No.
No. So we wasn't dirt poor, you know. Just.
And then
was
when
poor, but
we
not-
got in this
it was.
house, it made a lot of difference because this was ours. Nobody could tell us what to do on this house, where if he's up there, he's back here, or whatever, they could pretty well tell you how things were going to go because it was their house. But after we got in here, this was our house. And our kids felt like this was their home, their real home. So of course, they would take care of any house we was in, as far as that concerned. But myself, even including myself, I felt like when I got this house, it was mine, and ain't nobody going to tell me how I can move around in my own house. And you know how that'd be.
Well, what year was it that you guys moved in here?
Tommy was 13 and Janice was 10 when we moved down here. Yeah.
So
Janice-
Mom was already married and gone.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. She married when we lived back there at Maud's and Jesse's. She was about 15 and a half. See, and she quit school and things. But Brian, we didn't make no mistake.
No.
They was young and she loved Kenny. And like we said, and she was older for her years. Linda, was more matured and always was, wasn't she, Dad? And so we never made no mistake. Maybe people could looked up on that, me and Morris letting Linda get married that young, but we didn't make no
Nobody
mistake
said
back
anything
then.
about
No,
it, though.
but we didn't, and we knew. We had a wonderful, from the time they got married, Kenny was a good provider, took care of her, and she loved him. She followed him to Texas.
Texas.
I'd never seen her for 2 years. Never set my eyes upon her for 2 years.
Did you guys write back and forth?
Well,
often,
we'd
or-
write, and would she call us? We didn't have no telephone.
No, we didn't have telephone.
See, we didn't have no phone till Morris started working at Dickerson's after we moved down here. But Lynn and Kenny was happy, and then when he went to Korea,
When Linda was in Texas, didn't we live up there in the
yeah, and then
place?
we moved down. Yeah, we lived up there when she left for Texas up there, 'cause she stayed with us up there a year while Kenny was in Korea.
How did
Or here, he's here.
Donna and Tommy and Janice and you guys, how did you feel about Mom going far away to Texas?
Oh,
Well,
mister.
you didn't like it, but there wasn't nothing we could do about it because that was her husband she was following,
She should have went with him.
and that was
I
her
was
duty.
happy.
That was
I
her
was-
place.
Yeah.
I was happy that
did
she
it
got
make
to go with him.
make
Oh, you
the other
missed her,
kids
sure you-
sad, or?
Oh, you missed her. Yeah, definitely you missed
I
her.
mean, Donna lost her buddy.
Yeah, and we of course, me and Myrtle, we missed her tremendously.
Oh my, after she got married, me and Janice was there about a week. Well, Morris would leave, and he didn't let me know it till later on. He'd go down and where we kept her coal, and he'd cry. He'd
No,
cry
that was
missing
after
her.
she got married.
Well, I said after she married, didn't I?
Yeah,
You go down there and cry?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Linda
He'd
was
cry,
my first one
missed
to
her
go.
so bad. Oh,
and I wouldn't
yes,
let Myrtle
we
know
missed her.
anything about it.
He
But
wouldn't
I'd
let me
go out
know.
there and cry my heart was
Oh,
broke because
yes.
it was my only child.
The oldest.
Oldest child to get married. And Brian, you may face it yourself someday.
Oh, yes, you
Oh,
will.
It's going to affect you. There's no question about it. And I'd go down there, and man, it was just
Missed her,
like I'd
yes.
lost something. I'd lost something worth better than gold because it was my own flesh and blood, and she was gone, and I knew that she wouldn't be back, to stay like normal.
But they visited us
But
there.
they visited us.
And they'd stay all night with us back there, up here, and she was happy, and he was. And we'd be invited up there. I remember one time Linda fixed the best dinner up there.
Yeah, it was
We'd
up
be
on
invited
Jackson.
up there. Yeah.
Up on East Jackson they lived.
Yeah, Kenny was a good provider.
Yeah,
and
he was
then
a good provider.
and then one evening after she got married, it might have been a week after a few days. Lord, if anybody would come up there at that door, me and Janice went to crying and a bell. I mean to tell you, we cried loud too. If anybody
Well-
come, they thought there'd been a death in the family. We
Janice
just
was the
cried
weeper
and
anyhow.
yelled and cried.
Janice was the weeper anyhow.
See, they missed her because she
Yeah.
was carrying too, always there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about Donna? How old was she when she got married?
She's older than her was.
Yeah, I don't know just how old she was. But one incident that I'd like to tell you about, I'd got laid off at Chrysler. Well, the rumor was that Chrysler was moving out, which that's been for years down there anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going down home to check on a job. My brother-in-law was superintendent down there at Canfields, and he already had me a job of running a plastic extruding machine. So I shouldn't have done it. But when I left, I said, Tom, you're the man of the house now.
Yeah.
Well, that was the worst mistake I ever done. Because I found out about it after it was over.
Lord, he got so mad. Got so
He started throwing the commands around.
He's now bird legs, you go out and get the paper. He
Yeah.
started throwing
Janice.
papers and got so mad. Got
How old
Linda
was
does
he
it.
here?
He's about 13 years old. I told him, he's now bird legs, you go out and get the paper. I got so upset. Oh, but we loved him, Brian. We was happy. I look back at
And-
happy memories.
Well, anyhow, it was either before that or after I come back
Yeah.
that I told him, I said, now, Tommy, don't you never throw no oil in on that fire.
Oh, he's going through fascination.
He's fascinated with fire.
He's about 11.
Well, anyhow,
He's about 11 or 12 or 13.
That's
About 11 or 12. He was about 11. I don't
okay,
forget.
maybe that was before I went down there.
Yeah,
But
I
anyhow, it was shortly in that time.
Yeah.
And I said, Tom, don't you never, because I always build it with coal oil, built the fire up. And he took it on himself to do that.
Oh,
And man, he come out of there, his face was black.
well, he had no more got gone. Brian, it was like a big explosion. I was in there fixing my hair. And Lord have mercy, it blowed the stovepipe out and singed his eyebrows. He come in there, his face black, and his eyebrows actually singed. And it upset me so bad and scared me. And so Dad, he was taking somebody to church, so he come back. And I had to tell on Tommy, because the pipe was blew out in the floor, a big explosion. He went through that fascination. And Lord force whipped him. He whipped him,
Yeah,
and he
I
never
never
done
got
it
lickings
again.
of that.
And that's one time I believe it helped save Tommy's life, because he might have done it again and burned the house down. But why he went, after his dad told him not to mess with that, he went in there and done that. Blowed the stove.
That's what he wanted to do.
I hate for him to get a whipping, but I know it saved his life too, or saved mine, or saved the house.
I'll tell you another comical one. Tommy liked to hunt, coon hunt and stuff like that. He'd have a lot of clothes over his regular clothes,
Oh,
And
I'm
he-
glad.
And his mom said, Tommy, I was working second shift. She said, Tommy, now you get in there. I'm going to give you a whipping. He was yelling across the bed. Him a laughing.
That's the last whip I tried to
She
get.
had a pancake turner.
That's the last whip.
A pancake turner.
I see Lenny.
Where did he all them clothes?
He was too big, but you know what? I enjoyed every bit of their life. I think I enjoyed it better what they did.
And Tommy was laying there laughing.
And Donnie Silvers got up in church. We had the sweetest, best service. And Donnie Silvers got up in church and told about him hiding underneath the table. And about when I come through, he grabbed my ankle about me screaming and about the water flowing. Yeah, I growed up with them boys, but I enjoyed it.
They'd be a sitting back there looking at it. That's when they had them old black and whites, and they'd be watching one of them real scary movies. And Donnie'd walk up there, and he even got himself scared.
He
Walked up there and he run his fingers across the screen, and they said they all jumped up and tried to go through the same door at the same time.
And said
Donnie said he got
that
scared.
he got scared and he run. Oh, I tell you. It was just life. I'll tell you, it was a sweet, good life, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was a
really-
happy life.
Yeah,
And your kids was your treasures.
yeah,
You never had a lot
that's
to
it.
show for it, but they never went hungry.
Yeah, I'll put it this way for myself. If I had a lot of had troubled thoughts on my mind, I could go home and my kids could help alleviate that.
Make things better.
Make things look brighter than what I was looking at it at the time I was looking at
Well,
it.
that's how I feel with Sarah.
I'd go home and I'd look
You
at them
feel that
kids
way, don't you?
and I could feel the comfort. I could feel a comfort by knowing that I had them kids and I loved them and I knew they loved me and we was all together on what we had to do and at meal times we'd sit down and we'd all enjoy a good meal and whatever, and my kids always appreciated, and that was my life after I come into church. Well, even before church, Linda was my life even before church, before I got in church. But
And the
after I
rest
got in
of us
church,
too.
it made it something special.
The rest of us too.
Yeah.
And when wrestling first come on, Brian, it's
Oh,
funny.
Lord.
But you know, we'd actually get mad and upset. We'd watch that Dick Brewster, and you know, we thought that he was actually hurting people.
Yeah.
See, television wasn't. It wasn't.
And Brian, I
dangerous.
finally had to shut it off.
I mean,
Linda and them would get up there and they'd get so mad. They would be a shaking and running their fists and shaking at them wrestlers. And and you're talking
Like a
about
bunch of
right
kids.
at church time. And I walk in there and I said, that's it. And I'd shut that television off. Wouldn't let them watch it for a while.
What were they getting so aggravated about?
Oh, that wrestling, just like
now
anybody.
Linda may forget it. She may not watched as much as me.
But wrestling, it was Dick the Bruiser and that guy that won that governorship out in Minnesota, Ventura.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura and all them was in some of that at that time. But my girls was,
Linda may not remember that. They might have been out and gone somewhere.
Now, did you watch this, Grandma?
Yeah, I watched Dick the Bruiser, and then I got so I didn't care that much about him. I liked Tarzan. I like to watch them old movies, and I still like to watch them old movie
You like-
Tarzans.
You like Tarzan movies?
Oh yeah, and I like the Waltons. I really like the Waltons now. I like
and them girls liked them romance pictures and the tears that rolled. Their mom included.
Oh my!
So what kind of TV shows did you guys, you had wrestling, you had romance, I know Mom mentioned before about Disney having specials
Oh,
come on
yes,
and that they get
yes.
so excited about.
Yeah, we always like, and I still do now. And Sarah was watching a little tape up there yesterday. We got to see Sarah, and she looks so pretty and cute. Yeah, let's tell about her down at Disney, about her meowing, like her being bashful, like Linda's telling about them coming up. She'd say meow or something like that.
Yeah.
But I can remember I'd go to the shop. Maybe I'd be troubled in mind a lot, and I'd go in the shop and I'd get to thinking about my family, and that would seem like that was everything would smooth over, and I could get all of that agitation or whatever it was, get it out of my system through thinking about my family.
Well, Brian's the same way now, aren't you? Said Sarah
yeah,
Cap.
so, yeah.
Happiness. There's a happiness there. It fills the void of your children. There's not no
Oh
loneliness.
yeah, they feel it. A child feels your void. That's for sure.
That's hard to explain.
Yeah,
It is. It really is. But they will. You have hard times. I know we went through some real tough times. But I could go and look at my kids and they're laying there asleep, and I could be the proudest dad.
Yeah, they was all good kids.
Well, it makes you not feel so bad about having to get up in the morning. It gives you a
Oh, no.
reason to get up the next morning.
That's it. It gives you the reason.
But I could just look at them little kids, and my heart was full of joy because of them. And I know they didn't have much, but they were just as happy as they could if
Well,
they'd had $1 million.
Well, when we was going through with it, see, there was a lot of other families too. See, back then, Brother Penn would be laid off, and Brother Johnny Moore. So we wasn't the only ones, see, that just held into your jobs and it paid off.
And to make ends meet, we'd go hunting, get rabbits or something like that, or quail or whatever, fishing, get fish to tide us over till the next paycheck come, which would be, I think back then we got $16, about all you got.
For unemployment.
Yeah.
But through them times, Dad, the kids never went home.
No, they never
We
went
always
hungry.
had, I fixed fried potatoes and beans and cornbread and iced tea. And a lot of times we'd invite people to our house and we'd be invited out a lot. And so you can look back and see that they didn't go hungry.
So we kind of get off the subject. I was asking about Donna and her getting married to
Yeah.
Herb.
Yeah.
How old was Donna when was she 20 or?
Was she 19?
She's about 18 or 19, something
I
like
think
that.
she was about 19 or summers along there.
And she got married to Herb.
Yeah.
Okay, now ever since I've known Herbie, I couldn't think of a more fun, better uncle.
Yeah, he is still a lot of fun.
But I've heard stories about old Herbie. So what did you guys think about Herb?
We
liked him.
loved him from the time he
Yeah, we
married Donna
loved him
Sue.
too.
We did. And same way with your dad. Me and her was really thought, well, the girls had done themselves good by doing what
Yeah.
they done. But of course, Herb had a little tough time of getting started out. But after he got started out, man,
He's always been a worker.
Well, he was a crazy hillbilly.
oh
That's what he
man,
was.
well,
He'd jump up and touch
He'd leave
limbs.
here.
Leave?
he'd leave here in that Volkswagen.
Oh, my.
It was a ship, but you'd think it was an automatic. He'd go up that street, and that guy down on the end said, tell him that he better slow that thing down.
Oh, yeah, he'd drive so fast. And did he bump a car one time and bang that little thing
Volkswagen.
up and said little kids would just laugh? And if that's what they said,
I think so.
I won't say for sure, but I know he banged it up.
Herb was something else.
So I remember when they moved over, or they lived over on Illinois Street.
Yeah.
Is that where they started out, or where did they?
No, at a trailer mods.
No, the trailer back here in Mars.
We ran the little trailer.
They had a tough
mod.
time back there.
They did have it hard.
When Johnny was just a little bitty guy. He wasn't over.
Well, he was born, Dad.
Yeah, he was about 4 or 5
Yeah.
weeks old back there.
Why, yeah, he was born there, and they
And-
come and stayed a week with us when he was a baby.
And Herb had that job.
They
on
had
the-
it rough. They had it hard.
had that job on the highway, and it didn't pay that much. And I mean, Herb had it tough for a long
He's
time
worked hard for what he's
Yeah.
got now, too.
until he got into that school system.
Oh, he's done great. Got the carpet
Oh, he's
business
good.
going.
Yeah, helps Johnny. Don't they get carpets, Yeah,
Yeah.
they've done good. Like Linda and Kenny, they've done wonderful. In fact, I think Donna Susan and Herbie's, their house is the prettiest there. I like the best.
Yeah, that's a pretty house. Now that I just wondered about that because look, Herbie is the perfect uncle. I mean, he's just fun, going full
He is.
bore all the time, just to do anything, wanting to have fun, going sledding with us, doing everything.
Yeah.
But he's also the type of person that would make a parent real nervous when you first get married.
So you just got fun memories with Militia and with Johnny
Oh, yeah.
growing up together. And they said you and Militia was more alike, and Johnny and Christy, right?
That's what they said. So then you had Tommy. He married Becky.
Yeah, he married Becky.
And then you had Janice, and she married
Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Janice has not always had it easy, you know.
Janice has had it
See,
right.
little Melanie was a Reasoner, Brian. See, she married young, and it didn't work out. And
Oh, that's right. I forgot that.
Melanie's a Reasoner, and it wasn't Janice's fault. Janice tried, and she clung to her little girl too, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
She clung to her kids,
Yeah.
and it was something Janice couldn't help. But then she married Dave, and they lived down in Kentucky. Now Janice says she's happy now, and we're happy for Janice. And Tommy, I said, Tommy, we know that Tommy's went through things, but outcome, we're proud of Kyle. We just love him. He married Debbie, and they had a little boy, and then Tommy has a nice apartment now, and he gets to be with Kyle, and we get to be with Kyle and love him. He's smart as he can be. Our little grandchild is. He's awful sweet. Well, every one of them is.
Yeah, you guys have you have a very large family.
Yeah, we got a great.
Yeah.
And just think, we got 8 great grandkids.
Some we've not seen down in
Some of them
Kentucky.
we ain't seen, but that oldest one that Janice or
But we love them.
Melanie's oldest. But she's still.
Little Lacey. Now we've
Little
seen
Lacey.
Lacey. We've
We
seen
see
her.
her.
But now Melanie, we love them. She's had another baby. She's got 2, so she got 3 altogether.
Melanie has 3 kids?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. But
And
now,
Scott has got one, ain't he?
yeah, Scott's just got the one, the little girl. And Janice, as far as I know, is going to go down there for Thanksgiving, get to be with Scott and them. But now, like we said, we love them little grandbabies down there, but we don't get to be with them.
Yeah.
Little Lacey, she's raised by her grandparents, isn't
Yeah.
it? And Melanie, she married, which I hope she's happy, you know, because she's got 2 now again. But we love them.
But we can look back on our great grandkids, and whatever, and we've had a pretty near a complete. I don't say pretty near. We've had a complete family.
Well, a beautiful grandkids.
Yeah.
And I know they're all just as pretty down there. But as far as the love of them,
Well, of course, you can understand that. You're looking at 3, 4, 5 hour, 4 hour drive. See, and that's why we can't get to see them like we can up here. And of course, that makes a difference when you don't get to see them like that.
But we love them.
Yeah, we love them
And we're
kids.
glad for Janice that she gets to go. Janice has got a good job, works at school, says she's happy, and Tommy works at school, got a good job, and especially our grandkids, all of yours has got good jobs, Brian, Johnny, and all of them, and I have a little great granddaughter that's named after me, Alexis May. But we love them
And
all.
she's
Every
just
one
like
of
her
them special.
grandmother.
And they're all special.
How's that?
Well, she'll hunch them little shoulders like
Run.
her grandmother used to do this. Hunch her little
They
shoulders
sit
and start
up.
running. And
They say she does
Lexi's the
that.
same way. Lexi, we had her at the restaurant. I had her at the restaurant. They was all in there eating, and I had trying to corral her. And she'd get away from me, and she'd hunch them little shoulders up and just go tearing down through the restaurant. And I'd have to run and catch her.
But they're all special, and each one had their prettiness. Little Sarah's is a beautiful little granddaughter, and little Zachary, he is a very cute little boy, as cute as he can be. We get laughs out of him now. He's going through that little stage, isn't he?
Oh, he's going through quite a stage. He's rambunctious.
And
Yeah, that's it.
rambunctious, and little Jacob went through it before him, and well, they're all this precious.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade him for nothing. But boy, I'll tell you what, I say, shut the door, they're coming through the window. Shut the window, they're coming through the door.
No, you don't either, Dad.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them. And do you and Grandma talk? Do you guys talk about that a lot? Do you say you're retired? You have a good pension.
Yeah.
life is good right now. You've got
Every
a
day.
big, loving family.
Yes.
You're involved in church. You both have real good health.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, do you guys ever just sit around and talk about how lucky you are to have
Oh, yeah.
such
How
a loving
blessed.
family?
How blessed we are.
He names it to me so much. And thank the Lord that he's got his good pension and for us being in church. And about it. There are not very many days pass that he don't tell me how thankful he is, do you? No, how we talk about it.
And all those memories, do you guys talk about that a lot? Or
Well,
Oh,
Well,
it's-
of course, you're going to reminisce a lot, you know. When you
we
get,
laugh.
we get sitting around and Merle will bring up something, and then we'll have a good
Get the
laugh.
laughing.
It'll be about what some of them grandkids done, and I said, yeah, I know. And I'll tell you, whenever your grandma's got wheels, she's gone.
But I reminisce too, Brian, when you was little, you and Christy. I remember
Oh,
the time your mom and dad went away and was
Oh,
gone a
man.
week, and we kept you and Christy. You uns got down there in the back. We never had no idea. There's bees down there in that old Davenport we put back there, and about them bees getting in Christy's hair, stinging her head. You remember you fighting the killing the bees from her. Remember that when you was little?
I've been told that story, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, that actually happened.
Is that when my Grandpa Hall passed away, or Grandma Hall passed away?
Yeah, we kept you that week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when it happened. And you was real good. You was no trouble getting up, getting ready for school. You'd just get right up and go to school.
Yeah, that's
Never
right.
1 minute's trouble. And me and Christy would lay on the Davenport, and we'd watch the cartoons. You wasn't a bit of trouble, and she wasn't either. And we'd watch cartoons. And Morris would stay up all night up there, and then he'd come home in the evening, feed the dog, and he'd come back up there. But yours was real easy to take care of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a lot of enjoyment with our grandkids.
And even to this day, you guys, I was about to say, Grandpa said something about Grandma having wheels. She was gone. You guys don't get lonely because you're busy as all get out. It's hard for me to keep up with you guys.
Here's
Active,
the
real active.
situation. I'm kind of like your mom. I like to
Read.
and sit back and relax and take it easy.
But
And,
we go a lot.
well, I'm saying I'm going to get up to that. And I'll say, now, Mom, if you want to go, you go on. And so maybe one of the girls, Linda or Donna or some of
Wish
them,
or
Janice or whatever, comes up
Wish
and
or-
she'll say, Dad, I think I'll go here. And I said, okay, enjoy yourself. And of course, I'm not going to say that I don't miss her, because I do. But it's not like she's going to be gone forever.
Mhm.
So I want her to enjoy herself, because I'm like I told you, I like to be like your mom. I like to get off to myself and read or piddle around out and back, or if I'm gardening especially, I want to stay home.
Oh yeah.
And so the girls will come pick her up, and that suits me. That's fine with me.
Yeah, we live an active life, right?
Yeah.
We go to church on Thursday night, young peoples. We go to church Tuesday night, Bible study. And then on Sunday, we go to church Sunday morning and Sunday night. So
And then between time,
we get
on
out
Sunday,
shower.
we're allowed to be out of the mall someplace to shop and get in just in time to change clothes and go.
Yeah, we really
Yeah.
live an active life, maybe more so than some of the young ones.
Well, I think you do. I mean, you guys go out every day. You go to eat. You go.
Yeah.
You got your days. You go to Walmart. Grandpa's got a garden.
Weed out every
that's
day.
bigger than most people that are half
Yeah.
your age.
100 by 80.
Yeah.
So
But I can show you pictures, and I had a Valiant in 1974 that I bought, and I can show you pictures of the snowbanks that we went along the road that was higher than my car. We'd be out of driving, and we'd come up maybe to your mom's or Donna Sue's, and where you guys been? Well, we've been out of driving.
now that wasn't that blue Valiant, was it?
No, is that brown?
Okay, the little brown Valiant.
Yeah,
I
the little
remember
brown
that.
Valiant. 74.
Okay.
And you remember that storm was in 78. You remember how
Yeah.
bad that was?
The blizzard of '78.
Yeah. We would get out and drive around after that blizzard,
We sure did.
and the snowbanks would be higher than my car. And in fact, I took pictures of it, of where we'd be standing behind the snowbank.
We got out when the
And the
trees would
girls,
fall.
I think they just about shook their heads at me and Grandma, because we was out running the highways when nobody else was getting out.
Yeah, we could. Well, with us where we lived, you couldn't even get to us. We
Yeah.
were
No.
way back in the boondocks. But
Yeah.
you guys in town here, you got to go out after
Oh,
they
yeah.
plowed the road.
Well, Ryan, where I took those pictures was out there on way out on Western Road, way at the west end of it.
Down by Sulphur Springs Road.
Yeah, I was coming off the Silver Springs Road, heading back for the highway for 3,
Mhm.
and I come down through there, and them snowbanks was higher than my car.
That's
But
right
I
where I
wouldn't do
live.
that again. You couldn't hardly, because when you
But
get
we-
older, you get more
Yeah.
wisdom, you know, than danger.
But we
You
was,
know.
if we took a notion, and I'd forget, we'd take a notion to go down home. My dad was still alive at that time, excuse me. And we got on the highway. We was headed down home, and Murph said, "Morris, you know what? We forgot. We got to pick a lady up for church tonight." Well, that stopped that. I just had to get off the interstate and head back up here because we had to pick somebody up for church. We always was hauling somebody to church or something. But if we didn't have, we'd just jump in the car and go down home. And before Dad died, well, I was down there quite a bit. I'd teach Sunday school on Sunday morning, and I'd leave there and head down home and come back that night. And oh man, I've had to follow the snowplow back on the highway getting back up here.
We rode on ice.
What would you do? Just go back and visit and go
I
to
did.
church with your dad? Or
No, Dad wasn't able. Dad was real sick. And I'd just go down there to see him and then come right back. I'd leave on, because Dad was pretty bad sick at that time, just before he died. And I would go down there, I'd teach my Sunday school class, jump in the car, me and her, and we'd jump in the car and go down there and stay maybe a couple of hours and head right back. And this was
we went
dead
in
of winter.
bad weather. We went in
Yeah,
bad
it was
weather.
dead of winter. I've come in on the ice. That was before they put the bypass around Greensburg, and you'd come around on that ice, and boy, you'd see cars laying over on each side of the road, and I would be just barely creeping to get down that highway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But me and Grandma still is pretty active yet.
Well, we go out to eat like all the girls has told us, every one of them. They want us to. They told us they want us to enjoy, you know, and
Well, yeah.
and eat out, because we couldn't afford to do it when we was raising them, but we still had good home cooked meals and plenty of it, didn't we, Morris?
Yeah.
But now since they've been gone, yeah, we go out and eat every day when we want to. And we're invited up to our children's, and we're so thankful for that. That makes us to get to be able to see our grandkids and be with them. Yeah, that makes up for it.
That means a lot to be there at Thanksgiving when all the grandkids are there,
And Christmas.
and whatever. That's for me and Grandma, because we've not got the place to take a bunch of kids and come in our house, because our house is not big enough. I told her, I said, well, if we had a 10-room house, we could take them all and run the kids upstairs, and we'd take it peaceful downstairs.
Through the doors, close the windows, go through the windows.
Close the windows, they're coming through the door.
No, they'd be right downstairs too, Dad. You know that, because they're the life of, they're the reason of it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
come right down into it. That's the meaning of
But Christy-
Christmas. If you
Christy
never got
was-
one gift, just a big meal and get to be with your grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
That's not all in the presents, and you value that much more when you get older. That is.
Christy was the
happiness.
bright eyes and jumping jack.
Oh, Christy was my little flopping fish.
Yeah, but she was just a jumping jack, too.
Kyle was my little jumping
Well,
kangaroo.
Kyle was hyper, I'm telling you.
Brian.
Or Brian.
Brian was my little jumping kangaroo.
Boy,
I
you
give
was
them all
hyper,
names.
man, oh man.
Christy was my little flopping fish, and that was names, you know, little from the Johnny Running Deer. And Militia, I called her Militia Dawn.
Militia Dawn.
Yeah,
Well, that's her name.
yeah. I just called her Militia Dawn and sung her that song.
Now, why was Johnny called Running Deer?
Because he'd run, see, get them little shoulders and run. And we'd take you to church, and just kind of happy. You'd get out there, and it kind of tickled people. You'd get out there if you got upset or something, and you'd just jump up and down.
You'd think you was a shouting.
You'd jump up and down. But Juns was good kids. Juns was good little children.
I remember when me and Johnny mopped the street out there.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
did
you
stuff.
did that.
Remember Grandpa
Catherine come in, she said, well,
flipping up on
Jim,
us?
them two boys got some of them's mops. And you went over there and got her new mops and was out here mopping the floor, the ground with it. But Linda, they paid for them, but they whipped you. I think I'd been to a rummage cellar somewhere that day, and I'd come in. Yous had already got your whipping. But if I'd been here, I'd probably back. Catherine, they said, didn't want her to whip yous. No.
No, I think we were naked too. I think
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
to
you
top it all
were.
off.
Yeah. Yeah,
we weren't
that's
shy.
what I heard. Yeah.
And when you and Johnny got together, it was trouble for me. Because if I'd get on the mower, it'd be one or the other of you trying to stick a stick down in there with that mower blade, and I'd have to get off and take a board to one of you, and the other one was on my back
Well, it was
while I was
Brian, you
taking the
said.
board.
You said it was Brian that day.
It
You
was
went
Brian.
with him,
It was Brian,
and Johnny
then
jumped
Johnny
on
would
you.
jump on me. When I'd get after
We'd take
you,
up for each other.
Johnny would jump on my back.
Yeah, he took up for you.
Johnny's a good man. He was helping me out.
But yous had
Need
fun,
help.
didn't you, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
Yous had a lot of fun growing up together.
Yeah.
Militia. See, you carried Militia to the house that time when she broke her leg.
I vaguely remember that.
See, you held on to your wits then and helped her.
Yeah, we didn't realize she was hurt that bad.
I don't think nobody realized that time.
No, we were jumping out there in the barn, I think.
Jumping down on cardboard box, that's what I heard. Is that true? You was
Think
jumping
so.
down on that. Of course, it being slick, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any, looking back on all the years that you've had?
No regrets. No regrets.
You wouldn't have, you wouldn't have 3 or 4 more kids, or 3 or 4 less kids, or...
Well,
Well, if it happened, no. If it happened, I would love them and
Oh,
took care
yeah.
of them. Oh, yeah. If it would happen, we would have
Yeah.
took care of them. Because I think a nice family, back then, you know, just one helped the other. One took care of the other, and it was living in different times. But now, I think now, the educated now, I think 2 or 3 is a big family, don't you?
Oh, I think
Educate. 2's
yeah.
a big family, yes.
Yeah, 2's...
2 is a
But
big family now.
back then it was a little more laid back than it is now. You know, everything is going, and I've noticed it myself,
Families help
everything's in a
families.
fast pace.
Well, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you don't even want to get up, time to go to
Till
bed
the
or
day's
whatever.
gone.
Get up and wash your face and brush your teeth and go to work and back home and time to go to bed.
Well, like we were talking about the internet. You
Yeah.
know, we can get on the internet and we can find out what happened in Los Angeles, California 15 minutes ago.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so,
We're looking at, well, the technology today is awesome. If you go to looking at it from that standpoint, just what you said, and see the things that are happening, and realize that we're living in a completely different time
Yes.
than what I was living in when I was a growing up.
Yes.
oh,
Sure.
Well, you saw the birth of television.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. See that?
I saw just practically just a little while. I remember just a little while before WSM Grand Ole Opry went on the air. I can remember that, and now you're looking at a lot of years back.
And you say you used to sit at the neighbor's fence and
I
they'd
used-
turn the TV up.
We didn't have no television, and we wasn't allowed to go into their house or into their yard, but they'd turn the radio up enough that we could hear what was it, the Spider Man or Roy Rogers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd turn it up so we could hear it and sit out at the fence so we could hear it, because we didn't have a radio. And
We had lamps or
we
something.
had lamps. About all you had was lamps, coal oil lamps, or Aladdin lamps they call them. But then, just before, just a little while after that, we got electric lights, and you had it hanging down from the ceiling on a big wire, and you had a light bulb there, and that's it. You didn't have plug-ins like you got in your house now. You just had it wired up for a light overhead at each room or whatever, and that was it. And then look at it now, man. Like you've got computer, you can call into California or whatever, and get all the information in 15 minutes after it happens.
See how it
Yeah,
is.
that wasn't thought of back a few years back. It'd be a week before you'd even know about it.
Yeah, they had irons you heat on the stove on Iron Day. And then on wash day, you washed on tubs before you got wash machines. So,
Washboard.
yeah, washboard, yeah.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to say about your kids and about growing up within your family? And
Well, I think we about covered it.
think about covered? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'd got some other questions to ask, but we're about done for the day. And
Go ahead and ask if you want to.
well, why don't we just plan on maybe getting together again one last time?
All right.
Because I'd like to ask you some more questions
now
about things that
Wednesday,
we didn't
yeah.
get to cover.
Yeah, now Wednesday we won't be here because, see, I'm going to go up and babysit.
I just figured
No,
next
tomorrow.
next
Tomorrow
Monday
I'm
or
going to be
something.
gone.
Tomorrow.
We'll have to wait another week to do that. But is anything important questions?
Well,
that you
Monday
can
I'll be
think
all
of?
right. If it's,
Okay. Oh, it's just a few more questions about how things were back when you and Grandpa were growing up and you were younger, and some of your memories and things. But nothing.
I thought, did we cover that, most of that? in
I
the
think we did. We covered
earlier
that.
part of this, didn't
We
we?
probably
Yeah,
covered
we-
a lot of
yeah,
it,
we
but
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered a lot of that. Now, a lot, like I said, in my background, see, I was a baby that I couldn't. I was, something
well,
already
what the
gone.
questions I was going to ask was stuff like like I already asked Grandpa earlier before we started recording. What were you doing when World War II started?
Oh, I was in school. I remember back.
Questions
I,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Or what were you doing when
Yeah,
you
I
found
understand.
out FDR died, or stuff like
Well,
that.
I think I was in school class when found out that President Roosevelt died. I think I was in the school class then. I think.
We didn't really cover a lot of historical events.
Yeah.
Basically, we just covered the
So,
family. But I'd
yeah.
like to, for people.
Now he would remember a lot more than that.
For me, I can go back and I can read all the history books in the world, but I'm not going to really get a good feel for it unless I talk to
wish
somebody
so.
that was there.
I wish Brian and I would have. Well, back then, though, after Daddy died, though, I quit school, to help Mommy, because Mommy didn't draw very much and worked, to help out in the family, which I don't have no regrets now about that at all, because Mommy had it hard and she didn't draw very much, and it helped her, see, for me to work out.
Yeah.
Things like that, But, yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you just think about if you have anything else to that you want to add about your kids when you were growing up, anything that you might want to add, and then we'll talk about that the next time.
I just don't think about it till after you come down here and then we get to laugh and talk. I probably laughed too much today about funny things.
No, you didn't laugh. You can never laugh too much.
But oh, we enjoyed them.
So think about that, and we'll see you next
I
week.
probably won't even think about you come back.
That's
Because we're
okay.
busy.
A lot of times the best.
But
the
you know
best
we got a
done
lot
off
to
the
be
cuff.
thankful
But it's so hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
call back, not just like what was you doing, or well, I can remember what I was doing when Roosevelt died, because I was working in the shop. I remember that, but
Well, he was older than me
the
then.
only thing
think.
you was married.
When Roosevelt died?
Well, sure we was.
Yeah, 1945.
45 or 46, we was married.
It was early 1945.
Well, I was thinking I
We was
in
married in
school.
43,
Well, yeah. Well,
And-
let me tell you.
and they said they come in the shop. I remember
Well, I
old
guess it
Urban
was.
Fears. He was a trash hauler over at the shop,
I forgot.
and he come bouncing through there and said, "We're going home." He was a big old colored boy. "We're going home." Why? Why, Ham, the president's died.
Well, no, I won't want to ask me a lot of questions about that. I'll have a damn lot of them or one.
But I can remember that. And this was in the afternoon. I think they give us the rest of the day off when that happened.
Yeah.
Whenever. But the only thing that I can remember prior to that is going to Louisville, Kentucky at the Freedom Hall and taking an Army exam. I had to go down there and take an Army exam, and Lord, that was a riot down there. You know all them guys down there and taking the examination. Man, there'd be fights break out there, something fierce. And there'd be an officer standing around there. If that guy passes, I want him. That's what he said. There's one sergeant, if I remember right. Now it's been a long time ago, but they had ordered this guy for some reason to get back in a certain room, and that guy took offense at him, and he just laid that sergeant straight out. He just off and busted him. Of course, he wasn't in the Army right at that particular time, but he laid him out, and that officer was standing over and said, if that guy passes, I want him. And there was a Marine captain of the Marines there, and he said, if that guy passes, I want him. Because he would stand up to that sergeant. But it was a riot down there when everybody was going in for, exams for the service. Of course, I never passed it. But man, they would be fights break out there and something else.
Well, you look up that year that he died, because I was thinking
He died in 1945.
Did he?
He was in that place he likes to go, Hot Springs, Arkansas.
He died in the spring, and Truman took over and ended up dropping an atomic bomb on Hiroshima in August.
See, I forget a lot
Truman
of that.
had made the decision to drop
Yeah,
the
because
bomb.
I know that because we was living here at that time.
Well, I see some of the events I forgot. I better brush up on my history, better not.
The only thing that I
read
can
that.
remember prior from when I took the exam, I don't remember much of it until my dad come in and handed me that letter of my brother getting lost in service, and that's from then on I've just about forgot about all of that.
Well, next time then, I'll just ask you some more questions about that kind of stuff, and
You'll have to ask the smart one.
we'll
Sit
talk
here
then.
beside-
So I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Oh, I'll tell you, we've enjoyed this. I've got to